Lo and behold, here we are in America in 2020, possibly the most divisive time that we've ever lived through. And I think that our technology bears a lot of responsibility for that. An algorithm is nothing more complicated than a calculation. Like we talk about algorithms as if they're some kind of self-aware, artificially intelligent. No, they're just lines of code. It's kind of like a recipe. You're basically looking at a list of algorithms. And the problem comes when we put too much faith in them. They are very useful at making calculations that we cannot ourselves do. You could look at Google Maps and all that traffic data and say, well, maybe if I take this freeway and then this exit here, but you'd be spitballing it, right? You'd be guessing. Their algorithm has a lot of data, has a lot more data than you. It's a lot better at calculating things than you. So that's an example of why we put our faith and trust in algorithms in this world, where we shouldn't necessarily always do that. I always like to think of my Spotify Discover Weekly playlist, which if you don't know, if you're not on Spotify, it is the one playlist that it will assemble every week of music that it thinks you'll like, some of it new, some of it not so new, some of it new to you. During quarantine, I have been assembling a drum and bass playlist because I find that's the best thing to run to. The Spotify algorithm is so dumb that it thinks that I just am only into drum and bass now. The algorithm thinks that the way that you are now, the things that you like in this moment or in this past week or in this past day, is the way you'll always be going forward. So my Discover Weekly playlist is now unusable. A larger scale example of that, of course, is YouTube, which will send you down this radicalization hole. We've all got that story of the relative who started with one Fox News video on YouTube, and they followed you might also like these videos down the side, and they end up, getting into QAnon. There's no thought to it. This is, where you need humans to be part of the equation, because otherwise these algorithms can take us to some really scary places. For example, the YouTube algorithm helped get Jair Bolsonaro elected in Brazil. He was basically a fringe YouTube star. And the algorithm, once a curious voter clicked on a Brazilian political video that was maybe leaning a little bit right-wing, it kind of led you on this rabbit hole all the way down to Bolsonaro. It also happened in the US. There are a number of studies that showed that you had way more recommendation videos that were positive to Trump than you did to Clinton. And again, it was because of the controversial nature of that content. It was more controversial to have a video that was pro-Trump, therefore YouTube would recommend it more. Facebook has itself noted that its own algorithm tends towards more controversial and divisive content, because they measure these things through engagement. And what engagement includes is not just did you like it or did you put an angry face on it or any of the other emojis, but also how many comments were under it. Your crazy uncle is having an argument with your best friend, people who you hope would never meet in your Facebook feed, and all of a sudden they're going at it. So Facebook, that's an engagement. That's a positive thing. Facebook likes that. Controversy is good for these companies because it means you're spending more time on the site. And they're not measuring any metrics of how happy you are being on the site. How good for democracy is this? No, they just want to have that metric of how much time are you spending on the site, so that they can pass on that metric to advertisers. And so it is in their best interest to promote more divisive content. So this is really scary stuff. And it comes from Silicon Valley placing too much trust in its content algorithms. I think the most essential thing any consumer technology and social media can do is question algorithms. Question who is providing you with this content, what is their best interest, and why have they changed this service that I really love. If they know that this algorithm isn't likely to make you spend more time on their site, they're more likely to roll back that feature or roll out a new version of it. And get loud about it, complain, tweet about it, and don't just assume that they're here to stay.